Hey, what's up? It's Cool Imp, Justin, and all those other names that I'm known by that I can't really say. What's up? And we're doing a fan theory video, and I'm gonna actually try to do some editing on this one and not be that lazy bum I am. So what I want to talk about today is the expectation, because Nomura has said that this game will have not only darker themes, but some things that are going to be hard for players to accept. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes because I wrote this out a couple days ago. And based on the way people reacted to Aqua's being Norded at the end of the trailer, I have a good idea where he's going. And a lot of this has to do with the Wayfinder Trio. And I have a few thoughts about what's going to happen. And mind you, this is speculation. I don't work for Square Enix. I don't know Nomura personally. And as much as I'd like to be able to teleport in and snag a copy of the game early just to play through it, I don't have that power. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what I think is going to happen in a broader sense. And that is the Wayfinder Trio are all going to die. Give that a moment. The Wayfinder Trio are all going to die. Terra, Ventus, and Aqua are all going to die by the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. And that's my prediction. Because people love the Wayfinder Trio. Birth by Sleep is said to be one of the better games. Most people place it in their S or A tier when you rate the game. So it's very interesting, and that would be a great way to subvert what we're expecting, which is someone like Sora turning evil, or Riku going evil again, or Kairi dying, or Mickey dying, something like that, which I don't think is going to happen. But we're going to do this one at a time. And I'm going to basically begin with the order that you typically play Birth by Sleep, which is going to start with Terra. Now, Terra's kind of an interesting character, because we know Terra Nort is able to travel back and forth through time like everyone else. However, after the Heartless and the his Nobody's destroyed, he should have been recreated again like everyone else, and as a new recreated being, he should be basically a heart. So, as a newly created being, his will should be able to reassert itself. And that's through the armor, the lingering will, as apparently the fans have called it. Well, the fans have named it, rather. With that, the thing that I think is going to happen is towards the final battle, when we're getting up and we're amping up for the climax, there's a few things that have these vague answers. For starters, there's nothing about the predictions that state that the final conflict, the clashing sides, has to be all at once. There's nothing to indicate that it has to be one big glorious battle a la fucking Lord of the Rings. Nothing indicates that. So with that not being said, it's possible that these happen as small scrimmages towards the end of the game, and we're talking... By the way, I think we're going to be doing the final scenes of the game on Kingdom Hearts, however you want to phrase it. Or within Kingdom Hearts is probably a more apt way of phrasing it. I think the Lingering will get a good clamp down on Terra Nort, take over his body again, and eject the Xehanort's heart. That's what I think will happen. However, for whatever reason, the conflict is still too much. And either he's going to basically burn out, and he's going to die from just the struggle alone, or at some point, he's going to be in a conflict that he just can't win. He's fighting Master Xehanort again, and Xehanort just crushes him. Which is very well a possibility. It's possible that Xemnas and Ansem team up on him, and he just can't handle it because they're basically two master level people themselves, so they are his equals. And since I think this will be happening within Kingdom Hearts, I think what's going to happen is he's going to suffer a final death. He is not going to just get back up. No Heartless, no nobody, just death. And the same applies to the other two characters, because I think all three characters are going to die in Kingdom Hearts. Now, moving on to Ventus. I think Ventus is a pretty interesting subject. And I think his is a little more simple. It has a little duality to it, but it's simple. They kill each other. Vanitas and Ventus at the end of the game come clashing at each other again. And when they clash, neither one can really do... because I don't see Ventus being super wrathful about this. Maybe it's just my interpretation of the character. I don't see him being wrath and anger. I could see justified killing him, but I don't think he would be, "Oh, I hate you!" Rawr! No, I don't think that's going to happen. But I think they're going to fight. And I think in the end, they are going to double KO each other. They line up for that classic samurai movie, one person over here, the other person over here, they go past each other and they both fall. And again, because we're within Kingdom Hearts, they're just dead. Now, the interesting thing is, because we're about to get into Aqua, is I don't think Aqua saves Ven. I think it's Sora. And it's not because anything else, like I want him to be the person to save him. It's because I think Aqua at some point gives up the Master Defender. Because that's what the first trailer kind of implies. We don't see anything about the Master Defender afterwards, and the only shot we have of Aqua in Kingdom Hearts 3 is after she's been Norded, and in that scene, she's not wielding a Keyblade. She picks up Mickey's, but she doesn't have a Keyblade of her own that we can see. And that's the interesting thing. So, this kind of goes into Castle Oblivion a little bit. I don't think Castle Oblivion will let her find him. Even though she knows mentally where he is within the walls, I think it will redirect her going into other places, and it won't go to that chamber without the Master Defender. Because that's where she locked it down. See where I'm getting at here? I don't think you can access that room without the Master Defender and being a master, or at least equivalent power to a master. So if the first trailer is an accurate portrayal, Sora has the Master's Defender. At some point they're going to find out where Ven is, and he's going to be the one to go and save him. By this point he has the power of waking. So he goes there, and this time he's not going to have a seizure and just suddenly forget everything because his memory's not being messed with. And he'll be able to just walk to where he wants to because he has the Keyblade for the realm. I think it's something that's going to be very interesting to see, and I think that's how it's going to play out, because that right there would be totally awesome to see it happen. It's not Aqua who saves him in the end, but it's through her actions, because I think she throws it away between that at least year plus gap between the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, where we see the blank points, to where we are today. Because if we go back, and we go back to the end of the 0.2, we know it's been 10 years at that point. And then he's talking to Diz, and Diz is saying, yeah, well, there's someone out there making a difference, Sora and Riku. And from there, we know there's at least a 1-year gap. And we don't know how long it's actually taking to travel between the worlds. For the gameplay's sake, we see that it's an instantaneous thing, more or less. 3-minute gummy mission at most. However, what we don't see is actually how long it takes to get there. If it takes a day, if it takes an hour, however long. For all this to go down, I think the actual time frame is dilated so that we, the player, don't have to spend months playing a game walking across the savannah. Because if you try to walk across the savannah, even as a lion, that's going to take a few days. So you reduce the map size and woohoo, we're good to go. With that said, because I know I diverged a little bit there, we're probably looking at least a year and a half between the two games and between Dream Drop Distance and Kingdom Hearts 2. So looking at, and this is an estimate, at least a year and a half. She's been in that realm a lot longer. And she probably got Norded because he said, oh, well, there's sufficient darkness in your heart. Because every time in a fragmentary passage, she kept going, I don't think I can do this anymore. The signs were there. Just to point that out. The signs were there. We just didn't want to listen to them. But with that said, I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to come down to the final conflict for her. I think at some point they're going to save her. Don't know how. She may just have to purge his heart from hers. But what I see happening is she becomes just Aqua again. She's in the final lineup. And by the way, I don't think she's Norded at the end of Dream Drop Distance. I don't think that's happened yet. Because he says, Sora and another one of your number are already mine. Mickey doesn't, or at least he hasn't let on, doesn't know that Terra's been Norded. So they don't know that yet. So I don't think she's been Norded at the end of Dream Drop Distance. I think it happens sometime between that point and about halfway through Kingdom Hearts 2 or Kingdom Hearts 3, or like at the end of the first third of Kingdom Hearts 3, or just maybe at the beginning, but there's going to be a little bit of a time gap there. I don't think that's just BAM there. And when we do come to Aqua, I think her death is going to be a little bit less poetic than the other two. Terra finally getting back his body only to die from the exhaustion that it causes. Vin and Vanitas clashing and killing yourself, basically, because that's what happens in a situation like that. But Aqua, I think Aqua goes down like a champ. The way I envision it right now, because it would take a lot of effort to do this. Braig, Sayax, and young Xehanort are what she's fighting. So she's fighting 3 at the same time. Since Braig has that great distance attacking, the teleportation, things like that, he would do very well at hit and run attacks. When she goes to dodge his hit and run attack, Sayax comes up and tries to just smack her on top of the head with that giant fucking broadsword. And while this is going on, she's able to fend off those two and hold her own. But when young Xehanort or another version of Xehanort comes along, she is just unable to keep up with all 3 of them, which results in eventually her going down. She has this final moment where she's like, well, I'm glad Vin and Terra could be saved, even if it wasn't me who saves them, and blah, 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 and things like that. Super traumatic scene, blah. I know I'm blah, blah, blahing through that part, but I think it's going to be a tragic scene. And I think she's the first of the Wayfinder Trio to go down. I think this would encourage Terra to fight back against young Xehanort, which is basically his body. And if I have that wrong, whatever, you can correct me in the comments if people are commenting. Vin, meanwhile, goes and faces his own personal fear, which is stupid face Vanitas. Just to let you know, I am using a few assumptions in this theory. But I think that's how it's going. So a few of the assumptions is that Vin does wake up. Aqua is saved, of course. And Terranort and Lingering will both make it to the final conflict. Those are the three essential things that went into this theory. The idea is, like I said, it's based off what I think is going to happen. Some of it is a little guesswork, like a tragic scene where Aqua's the first one to go down before Lingering Will is able to take back his own body and become Terra again. And Vanitas finally clashing with Ventus and them killing each other. That's a little bit, so I am jumping to a couple of conclusions here. But with the idea of conclusions and dark stories being a theme throughout the game, I think that is very well a strong possibility of what can happen. Because for a lot of people, that would be soul-crushing to see their favorite trio die. I know a lot of people like Sora, Riku, and Kairi, but people seem to adore the Wayfinder Trio. And with that, of course, there's a few conclusions you can draw that might actually just hurt people the most, and that is it. It's it's that moment where Aqua is saved, but just because you're saved doesn't mean you can outrun your fate. And I think that's something that is been in the games throughout the series, but hasn't been really dwelt upon. You have a few people like Princess Xehanort saying, hey, I have a fate that I'm going to be, and I'm going to be the old master Xehanort, but that's not my time yet. You have things like that popping up that really wants to draw into the conclusion that there is a destiny. And with there being a destiny, that means that at some point someone has to go ahead and say that this is the destiny portion of it. It seems to draw a lot of conclusions back to where we begin. And admittedly, and I'm going to say this very publicly and on my channel, it is Terra's fault, Vin's fault, and Aqua's fault. Because if they would have just fucking listened, and yes, I'm saying that, if they would have just listened to what Ericus had said, and I know I probably mispronounced that, Ericus. If what had Ericus had said, then we would probably be in a situation where Xehanort did not have such a fertile body in which to inhabit. But of course, like I said, these are going under a few assumptions. This also assumes that Castle Oblivion will only open its secrets to whoever holds the Master Keeper. And that's one of the big things. I think Ventus is going to be saved either way. But whether or not he's saved and then Norded and then saved again is a completely different subject matter. I mean, it's very well possible that Ventus is no longer in Castle Oblivion. That by the time Kingdom Hearts 3 properly starts after we're getting done with the tutorial stage, that Ventus is already out of Castle Oblivion. Aqua found a way to save him, but in the process, all of a sudden, bam, pops out Xehanort, says, oh, you're weakened right now because you've been fighting through the realm of darkness. Pop my heart in you. Ah, look at that, another vessel. I mean, that's very well possible. It is a lot less climatic, but that is very well possible for something an asshole would do like that. So, with that, that's going to conclude this video. Basically, the Wayfinder Trio dies. It's going to be towards the end of the game, I think, and it's going to be this final conflict. And I think a lot more, there's going to be a couple more serious injuries. I mean, I could see some of our Guardians of Light actually being injured to the point where they can no longer function, type of thing. We might find out that Yin Sid is in a situation like that where he has had all of his powers sealed away as a Keyblade master. Not as a magician, but as a Keyblade master. Is it possible to have your powers just sealed the fuck away? But with that, I'm going to conclude this. I'm about to get real close to that video because I don't have a clicker and I'm sloppy with my editing. Y'all have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this third video.